We've been conditioned that you should have work-life balance and carry all the things all at the same time. And what I know and learned the hard way is at some point, your body, your nervous system, and your mind says, that's enough.
Thank you, Solution Tree, for sponsoring this episode. For over 25 years, Solution Tree has partnered with schools and districts to deliver research-driven professional development. See the results they've helped schools achieve at solutiontree.com/10-minute teacher.
This is the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast with your host, Vicki Davis.
Dr. Patrice Buckner Jackson, known by her community and all that follow her as Dr. PBJ. She's the creator and host of the Disrupting Burnout podcast and author of the Amazon bestseller, Disrupting Burnout, the Professional Woman's Lifeline to Finding Purpose. So why is your heart for educators and for women about burnout?
It's close to me because it's my personal story. It's not just my research. It's not just what I've read, but I lived it, Vicki. I showed up to education every day because I love my students, because I know the impact that education makes. I know how it can transform a life. And friend, I poured out my heart for 20 years. And in 20 years, I found myself in rock bottom burnout. So in that moment for me, Vicki, I arrived at work that day. I couldn't breathe. I was crying. I couldn't get out of my car. Mind you, I was vice president. We were in the middle of moving. Everything was happening, but I was falling apart. And it was in that moment that I realized I had taught everybody in my life that I could be all things to all people. And they believed me, friend. And I had nothing left. So
Because you can't be all things to all people, can you?
You can't. You can't. And it's been conditioned in us, especially in women.
Yeah.
It's been conditioned in us that we should be able to take care of our students, take care of our colleagues when they're having a bad day, do the extra thing to support the administrator. We've been conditioned that you should have work-life balance and carry all the things all at the same time. And what I know and learned the hard way is at some point, your body, your nervous system, and your mind says, that's enough. That's enough.
As someone who has struggled it off and on in my 23-year career, I think for me, naming it and acknowledging that's where I am has always been the first step to come back.
First of all, you're right. You got to acknowledge what it is. You got to know that it's not a weakness. You haven't lost anything, but you're overwhelmed. You're in what I call the phases of burning out. So once you recognize it, Vicki, the first thing you got to do is stop. Now, I know people get nervous when I say that. I'm not talking about running away like I did. You don't have to go away for a month. But how do you have micro breaks throughout the day? Or where is that time in your week that you disconnect from the email, from the parent concerns, from the phone calls? Where's fun? What is fun for you? Do you even remember? So the first thing you do when you find yourself in a hole is stop digging. You have to stop.
Okay, do you make people in your audience cry like you're making me cry right now?
It's not unusual for people to say, I really needed to cry. And here's the thing about that. That's another thing, Vicki, to allow our natural processes. We've been taught, hold back those tears, pull up your shoulders, be professional, but we have a natural ability to cry. It was given to us on purpose. It's a release valve. When we walk around holding our breath, we walk around holding tension in our muscles. We're just moving through our lives. Friend, we're enduring our life. We're surviving our life. We're not thriving in our lives. And it's time for us to embrace all of it. You are a phenomenal educator. You are impactful. You love what you do, and you are human. And in order to continue doing what you love, you have to attend to the human part of you.
One of my mentors, Miss Grace Adkins, she passed away at 96, but she was in teaching full-time till 94. Age 94. She went viral when she retired. She wrote 120 miles a week on her stationary bike. Like she did it all, but she was just so peaceful. And if she burned out, she just didn't show it. Like, what are we missing?
Oh my gosh, I'm glad you brought up that example because here's the thing. One, the context in which you're teaching is not the same. And we compare ourselves to wonderful people. And it's right to honor them. It is right to honor them. But I think we miss the mark when we compare our life, our context, our service to another person because what our students bring into the classroom today is different. It is not the same. The level of concern, the level of health, mental health need, the level of food insecurity, homelessness, like the things that come into our classrooms today cannot be compared to educators who came before us. So we can honor them, but adjust ourselves for the context in which we live. And the second thing, so you got to adjust to your context. You have to do life differently. You have to preserve your mind and your heart and your body because of what you're facing on a daily basis. But also, we look up to folks, but we don't realize what their battles were.
That's right. We don't.
We don't know what their struggles are. So we're comparing our troubles to their highlight reel. And that's not fair. That's not fair. I always say, if there's a leader that you look up to, either they had help or there's a mess you didn't see. And either one doesn't take away from who they were and their impact. We need to see more truth.
You know what April's like in K-12 and May. My husband, he supported me for 23 years, but he started saying a couple of years ago, May comes earlier and earlier every year, Vicki. He started saying it's May and March. Like, what's up with this? Because it's like, sometimes I feel like we learn nothing from the pandemic. We do more activities than we've ever done. We sign more kids up for more stuff. So there's more absenteeism. We've got more mental health issues. We've got more. And so what that does for us teachers is sometimes it feels like there's less of me because like you said, you talked about micro breaks, but I'm thinking about my this week. Like a micro break is when my friend Dawn watches my class and I actually get to go to the bathroom. Like that's not good, but what do I do?
Yeah. We have to be creative and think of ways to do education differently than what we've been taught, right? And let me be honest about this, Vicki. Some of this is not just on the individual teacher. Some of this we need to talk about at the school level. Some of this we need to talk about at the school district level. For example, right, I'm having conversations with some schools about you bring in subs when teachers can't be there. Why can't you bring in subs that will rotate and give teachers more time, more breaks throughout the day? Because what I'm hearing from my educator friends is they don't even get their planning hours.
Yes,
because
they get taken away because they're subbing.
Their subbing is something else to do.
Yeah.
So on the school level, I think that there are resources and ways that we can adjust the way that we approach the day so that we can reset. We need a reset. We need to reset because we have been in this muscle memory of surviving for so long, not just in 2025, not just since the pandemic, but educators have been overwhelmed for a long time.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Now, a crisis will show you who you are. Like the pandemic didn't create this. It was just a big mirror. It showed us who we already are, right? So it is way over time for us to readjust how we approach the work of education so that we can preserve our people. Because, Vicki, we're losing our best folks. And
we are.
They don't care. They love the work. They love the students, but folks are getting to the point where they just can't do it anymore. So bring in some help. Where are the subs? Where are the volunteers? Where are the folks that we can bring into the school? Maybe some retired folks, some grandparents, some parents. Bring them in just to have them help so that the teacher can get a moment. It is not just on the shoulders of the teacher. The academy, the way we approach education has to change.
Because it's not just giving a teacher a moment to kick back, drink their Starbucks, and put their feet on their desk. Like if I had a sub all day today, I would have more to do than I could get done in that 4 hours. One thing our teachers just loved this year is we have some people who travel quite a distance. And so the administrator said, hey, we're going to do morning duty for those teachers. We're not going to give them morning duty. Just that one thing
Yeah.
just did so much.
Yeah. And that tells folks I see you and I value you.
Yeah.
We automatically tell ourselves, well, there's nothing we can do. It is what it is. Our classrooms are full. We got to get the work done. There's nothing we can do. But I've found over and over and over, we can sit down and be creative. Here's the thing, Vicki. We make crisis plans all the time. We make crisis plans for our students. So we have bad weather plans. We have fire plans. We have all kinds of threat
We
plans
do.
for students.
Yes.
But we haven't used that same creativity and strategy to make crisis plans or care plans for our educators. And here's the thing, sometimes we can't wait on our administrators to do it.
Yeah.
They may have the title, but they are probably burnt out as well.
Yeah.
They're probably overwhelmed as well. And what I've seen is sometimes it takes a band of teachers or a group of educators to sit down and say, all right, what do we need? Like what
Yeah.
if we could make one tweak that would make a difference for us, what do we need? And for them to go forward to the administrator to say, here's the issue, but guess what? We have a suggestion.
Yeah.
Here's a recommendation of what would help us.
Yeah.
I want to empower the educator to be their first advocate.
Hmm.
We're so externally focused on the needs of everybody. And I
Wow.
mean everybody. If you are that dedicated at work, you do that in your personal life. You
Yeah,
do
all
it
the
for your
pets,
own
everything. Yeah.
children. Yeah, you do it for family members, for friends. I want to empower the educator to not be selfish, but we do need to think about self-preservation.
So much wisdom. I see why your book, Disrupting Burnout, is a bestseller. I think I've gotten better at saying no. I'm better at it. I can't say I've arrived.
And you know what, friend? That's a beautiful place to be because none of us, perfection is not the goal. If we have lived a certain way for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, whatever, you can't expect your body, your mind, your nervous system to adjust overnight to a new way of living. This is about practicing.
Mm-hmm.
It's about practicing what is a more healthy approach. And you mentioned saying no, right? So I work with folks concerning, I call it, you got to check your baggage. You got to build some boundaries and you need to discover your brilliance. And you mentioned saying no. When we think about boundaries, the first thing that comes to our head is, I need to say no more. I need to say no more. And that's probably true. But I always ask, what do you need to say yes to?
Yeah, working out.
You hear me? Right? Like I had to say yes to therapy, friend. I went to counseling.
Hmm.
And I had walked students to therapy for 20 years before I went for myself.
Wow.
And burnout drove me there. So your boundaries are, yes, what you need to say no about. But I always say boundaries are about what are you unwilling to lose?
Mm.
Where do you draw your line? When you look at your life, what are you unwilling to pay? Right?
Wow.
When you identify those values, then your boundaries are, what are my limits to protect what means most to me in the whole world?
Wow. Dr. PBJ, you gave me a personal pep talk. So I know that a lot of people will get a lot out of this episode. You have videos, you have your own podcast, the Disrupting Burnout podcast. I know you speak at schools and travel, and I appreciate my friend Andrea telling me about you. And this is awesome. I think you have a new fan, and I'm her.
My friend, it's an honor to have this conversation with you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. One of my favorite publishers and PD organizations is Solution Tree, the sponsor of today's episode. For more than 25 years, Solution Tree has been a partner to schools and districts, equipping teachers and administrators with everything they need to help students achieve. Solution Tree will build a customized plan and help implement research-based solutions on site at your school. Solution Tree can help your school improve student achievement, teacher satisfaction, and help you improve your school culture. Check out what Solution Tree is doing at solutiontree.com/10-minute teacher. Check out Solution Tree today.
This is the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast with your host, Vicki Davis.
Thanks for tuning in to the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast. Watch the video version of this podcast and catch my new radio and TV show, Cool Cat Teacher Talk, on YouTube and a radio or TV station near you. Join my Cool Cat Teacher Classroom Matters newsletter at coolcatteacher.com/newsletter. Leave a review if you found this helpful. See you later, educator.